Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 4th of January. So, what delights have we got in store for today then? So, let's just pull up the news system here. And before actually I go on to today, I was just reading briefly there yesterday the focus. Obviously this week, okay, it's on Friday, that's fine, but more importantly was the Fed's December meeting notes showed that the interest rates could remain restrictive for some time. Now this was a little bit different to what a lot of people were pricing in, so we'll see how things manage here. I was looking at some other factors last night, and the US dollar tends to do quite well, quite poorly in November, December if you look on the cycles, and yet generally better in January, February. But we'll see. I can only look at what's actually happening, not what's happened in some respects. So it's a case of it's there for the knowledge, but beyond that, anyway. It looks like there's going to be a 0.25% decrease, beg your pardon, in the benchmark rate by the March meeting. So that's most likely to come in. Anyway, looking ahead today, well, we've got German services PMI out, the finals, that's all out. Let's just go through to the right date here. We've got the just looking through here, we've got German inflation data coming out today, all day, which is it comes out in parts. It's just not, I'm just not seeing it here listed, but it's listed through the morning. Basically it comes out in sections, oh there you are, they've got it for the final data at 1 o'clock, but it's released during the morning. Important figures in ADP, it's as useful as a chocolate teapot, but it still moves the market, so you should be aware of it. And of course it's only a day before non-farms, normally it's on the Wednesday, but it's Thursday this week for the because of the holidays. And that's pretty much it for today. Yeah, unemployment claims, the weekly figures, just normal figures, so not a great deal there, but obviously important stuff, particularly looking at the likes of inflation. So let's look at through in the end its yearly pivot there, but it's sort of looking like it's sort of bouncing off of it at the moment, coming down to the lower time frames. So there you go. Didn't quite get up to my daily pivot, which I was looking for it to do before it rolled over. It just it rolled over into the 9 o'clock session and continued going through there and hitting its S1. So, but wouldn't have triggered me into the trade because I was waiting for this to happen first. But did the move, nice bear flag. Carried on doing its move. Where to at the moment then? I'm really looking at drawing yet another one of my lines here and thinking, has it got some more downside here? Not really convincing at the moment at all. The the pound dollar, reading off the top of the other one. The pound dollar slightly more solid to yesterday and today. It did roll over some more, but has managed to push pretty much up there. And it's yesterday, look, there was the same sort of trend line. I was waiting for the pivot hit to be hit first, never got hit. It just pretty went sideways. It didn't roll over like a lot of the other markets. I'm less negative. Sentiment on the pound is not great from the bigger traders. But at the moment it's outperforming really the likes of the euro. So and it's putting higher lows in here, so I don't really want to be going short on that one. US dollar yen. So we've run into its quarterly pivot, still got an untouched the yearly pivot below. This is going to roll over at some point, but it's what point really? just looking at the lower time frames here, there's probably some divergence here. Maybe if it breaks the lows between the two highs there of the divergence, it could be a triggering point. But at this stage it's still putting higher lows in, so as much as and we've got the pivot there above, the quarterly pivot sitting above, would much rather see the market move come from that. So at the moment looking modestly weak really. Patience needed. Aussie dollar, now another one that's outperforming a little bit, although yesterday it just continued to the downside here. Overall, of course, it's got the high lows, high highs, so it's in this bigger trend, so it's a case of just waiting to see if it can get a bit more traction from where it is at the moment. Still though, intermediate lower highs, so still looking at this point, and look at it from an hourly point of view, and again, in fact, this, there we go, just pop that on there. So yesterday it just carried on rolling through yesterday right the way down, hadn't hit the pivot there, so when it caught into its S1 running through to its S2, much better move than I expected in these, or moves I should say, in these markets than I expected. So well, maybe trading day today. Anyway, looking then at where we're sitting at the moment, again a rollover, maybe a break of this trend line if it rolls over later, could be of interest. US dollar CAD, as I say, there's mixed signals on a lot of these. US dollar CAD, again, I'd like to see it running into its yearly pivot just above there. It's not far off it. It's running into its monthly pivot. Perhaps that's as far as it's going to get. It's again, yesterday it carried on pushing to the upside there through the morning session there, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. It carried on eventually, pushing up there, rolling backwards. At the moment it's rolling over, but again, like a lot of these markets, well, this is obviously inverted, but is it going to break? It's sort of popping in a flag at the moment. Is it going to break this sort of level and push back up there? Now, as it's already run through to its S1, to me, the probability of it running up to its R1 because it's hit the S1 is not so good. So I would stand aside on this one. If it does start breaking up there, I'd rather short the euro or something. Well, certainly the euro at the moment looks one of the candidates. Now, yesterday I was talking about the New Zealand dollar, looking quite tidy, or potentially tidy for the short side of things. Well, it did come off. It came short of its yearly pivot on my system here, but it did continue to roll over through the morning, and well, yeah, run lower. But well, again, it's really today looking at it, it's put a slight higher low in there. It's a bit messier, but this is where it was yesterday when we was looking at it on this candle here. It actually hit the pivot, so it was a bit nicer. It was the nicer one of the lot, and there it is. It rolled all the way over beautifully to its S1. But from where it sits at the moment, I don't like it so much. It's for what it's done, and again, it's already hit its R1. It might roll over stronger as we run through the morning. I'll keep an eye on it. The picture does look a bit softish. But again, it really, as I say, it's hit that R1, to hit the R1 and the S1 in the same day. It happens, but it's like a 20% day, so the probability is not so great. Okay, that's it on the majors. I'll look through. There's a link on the bottom of this video if you want to join the room after this. Euro yen. That's if you're watching on YouTube, of course. Euro yen then this morning. Just look at the euro yen here. Has started picking up again because of the weaker yen, but it's quite an ugly scene that's still sitting here. Just looking at what's actually happening on the. I mean, yesterday it did continue its move to the upside there, running through. It's put higher lows in. Maybe it's got more upside. There's the quarterly pivot up there, which could be attracted. maybe a draw for the price action. Already moved quite so far at the moment, so not something I'm going to go chasing for. Said that things like the euro at the moment is looking potentially, if this starts breaking down this morning, it hasn't hit the R1 there. If it was to break back through its below its pivot and take out the lows there, it looks like a better option. Right, I'm going to leave that there on the Forex side. Let's just have a quick look at gold, if I can find it now. Unfortunately, I did a great thing yesterday and I clicked on symbol and it put everything in alphabetical order, which is the last thing I really wanted, as opposed to the order I run through the markets. So gold yesterday, well, continued its sell-off from what we'd seen in the morning, but catching a bounce at the moment. In the bigger picture, I'm got a bit of a bullish thoughts about gold, but not from here, as they say. It's at the moment it really needs. I would like to see it put a clearer higher low in. It's still got it's caught a bounce off its S2 there on the weeklies, but the pivots are very pinched together. So yes, it's given it some support, but it's not ideal. I'd like to see something more on this if I was going to be running and taking a long on that. Oil, if I can find it, there we are. So oil yesterday, I read somewhere in the afternoon, I think it was, that there was some spot crude having to be bought on the markets to fulfill some contracts, and that may be the reason that this surged up there in the afternoon. There you go, there's the 2 o'clock surge. So well, I was looking at this and thinking, well, it may continue on the short side. It actually just on that basis, it just flew through the pivots here and pushed to the upside. Quite ugly at the moment. Maybe it's got more upside in it, but again, I'd rather, if I'm going to trade this on the upside, I want it show me that it's got something a bit more positive. Maybe if it gets back above its pivots here, this yearly pivot that's sitting here, it'll be a bit more positive. But for now, I'll leave that alone. Now let's look at the equity markets. S&Ps here yesterday continued a little ride down with those slightly more bullish, hawkish sort of minutes that we saw coming through. The comments in those. We can see the volatility that occurred on the release of the minutes, but it was the dot plot that was important, and it just shows that and the comments that were coming through on the minutes, that maybe it's not all over and done with on the interest rates yet. It may be held longer, and it's just taking the shine off of this equity market at the moment. Consolidation, if anything. I think this, you could be looking for another ride to the downside. But obviously, on the daily point of view, you'd like to see the pivot hit first, and then look to see if it then breaks down. Very simple process there. Okay, looking then, he's looking carefully for the DAX. There we are, found it. It's hiding down at the bottom of the list. Well, bottom end. DAX yesterday continued on the downside there. Nothing really changing away from where it was. It ran in at 8 o'clock into the pivot there. Beautiful turn. If you're trading off pivots, it's one of the sort of things you're looking. You could wait until it breaks the lows here. You didn't need to go chasing it and try and second guess the market. But from the breakdown here, nice move down towards its S1. As it happened, it ran near enough right the way through to its S2. But certainly some better moves in these markets, at least here now this week. And finally, if I can find the FTSE, he says, okay, I've tipped it upside down, this list of mine. So it's alright. Where have you gone? There you are, UK 100. And finally the FTSE then. So the FTSE actually looking a little bit more solid. bounced off its yesterday, managed to bounce off the both the yearly and monthly pivots there, and I was talking about the regression channel yesterday, pushing away from that center point of the regression channel,